Sly Cooper, Rise of Vexen. Written by Tatsumari Korisuno. Tokyo Car Garage, 7:48 a.m., June 23rd, 2016. Vexen was the first to wake up, reaching her hands high above her head before sitting up. Her hand landed on a newspaper from Germany, showing pictures of Darius Hunter bringing the Duchess to prison. She tapped her shades and translated the article, stating that it was unknown what the woman was doing, but was under investigation. The paper further mentioned a second perpetrator evaded capture, and Vexen guessed it was Leon.
I suppose this is why Sly always knew when I was chasing him.
Vexen chuckled to herself. She put the paper down and took off her shades, staring at them for a while and thinking about Adora. The poor girl had lost her father, but at least she still had her mother. Adora explained she would give up the thieving life and help her mother out in any way that she knew. But Vexen had a feeling that she wasn't going to quit. The last desperate order from Merdoth rang in her head. During the trip to Tokyo, she would wake up sobbing or unable to sleep when they stopped for the night. The sight of leaving the poor man behind haunted her. For the most part, Ivan and Bentley helped her sort out her feelings, but she still felt lost. Had Sly ever felt like this? Did he ever feel that he failed someone? Had he felt guilty for the death of his father? Vexen sat up, resting her head on her knees when a knock came on the van's back door.
Inspector, are you awake?
Ivan asked, his shadow looking to stand with his back to the van.
If you mean are my eyes open, then yes,
She answered with a chuckle. The van rocked a bit as Ivan picked up his weight, and the shadow turned to the side.
If you can pull your body out of sleep in the next few minutes, I'll teach you how to perform a silent takedown,
He said. Vexen agreed, rubbing her eyes to pull the sleep from her body. She might have failed with Merdoth, but she would train hard to ensure it wouldn't happen again. Within a few minutes, Vexen emerged, stretching hard and breathing in the salty air. Her vision came across Murray and Bentley, still snoring in a tent beside the van. Ivan stood a little way off, leaning on the outer wall of the parking garage.
Are you ready?
Ivan asked, sipping on a warm cup of his favorite tea.
would I need to warm up?
Vexen asked. Ivan smiled to himself and set his tea down.
It would help, but no, it isn't needed.
He said, lacing his fingers and cracking his knuckles.
Now, the most important thing is to remain unseen. A target that does not know you are there is one that won't have time to fight back.
Ivan began, cracking his neck and shaking his hands while walking behind Vexen.
You do realize that I'm half your size.
Vexen asked, raising her eyebrow and shifting her weight to one leg. Ivan grinned and let out a breath as though chuckling.
While I was in my prime, I remember seeing you take down a thief 3 times your size before he knew about it. Add to that your powerful legs, and you have a perfect recipe,
He answered, pointing to her toned thighs as if to add emphasis. Vexen raised her brow and tilted her head down with even more apprehension.
Come, I will show you.
Ivan motioned, showing Vexen how to stand as though she were a target. Her entire body tensed as she readied for the impact, but he still took her by surprise when his hand wrapped around her mouth and felt his knee bump against her back. For a quick moment, her legs ceased to function and fell back against his knee.
The hand around their mouth will keep them from screaming. The knee in the back is a pressure point. It short-circuits the legs and lets you drag them to the ground.
Ivan pulled her to the ground by her mouth, but caught her just before hitting the concrete.
Once their legs are weak, it is just a matter of throwing them to the ground. The impact should knock them out.
Ivan explained, standing Vexen back up and turning around.
Now you try. The tricky part is hitting the nerve.
Ivan said, standing wide and relaxing a bit. Vexen sighed, looking up to how high Ivan's face was, and jumped at him, reaching her hand around his mouth and driving her knee into his back. But instead of Ivan coming down to the ground, Vexen heard his back crack and then hung from his neck.
Well, you've got the power. But you're too high by about an inch with your knee. Try again.
Ivan grunted, rolling his shoulder to eliminate the soreness. Vexen tried a few more times, finding that while she could seem to at least hit the nerve, she couldn't hit Ivan's back hard enough to pull it off completely.
You have a back like iron,
Vexen groaned, kneeling and rubbing the top of her right knee.
If you can just find that nerve, your knee drive will incapacitate everything below the chest. You have some powerful legs,
Ivan commented, rolling his shoulder and bending his back when Bentley came rolling up.
Hey, you two, I think I found something. Back in Germany, Vexen caught a line of trucks in one of the pictures. I just saw one of them heading down the road after tapping into the street cameras.
Vexen came over to his wheelchair as Bentley activated the computer in the arm to show what he saw.
And how is this interesting to us? Those trucks could be from anything.
Vexen answered shortly, pointing out the plain appearance.
While you were inside the factory, I rigged up some tracking devices. Murray and Ivan were able to plant them on the trucks, and it just so happens that one of those trucks is what turned towards the temple,
Bentley said, pressing play and showing the truck turning into a driveway.
Now, why would a truck from a smelting factory making Damascus steel be coming to a temple in Japan?
Vexen asked. Bentley began madly typing on his keyboard, bringing up the chip schematics Merdoth had given them.
I believe it has something to do with this part here, this key transference line. I researched it in detail and found that key is supposed to have something to do with life force. In the heat of the moment, I had forgotten we'd previously dealt with semi-magical technology. The most prominent examples are the Mind Shuffler and the Bad Mojo Collector in Prague, while dealing with a Contessa. So it isn't impossible for something like this to exist. I don't understand how a temple would have anything to do with computer chips, but we'll find out.
From what I know, tampering with life would be against what these monks believe. Whatever's going on there can't be good.
Ivan mused, sipping on his tea. Vexen returned to the van and pulled on her sweater, adjusting the sleeves from bunching up at the wrists.
Sounds like we got some rogue monks on our hands then.
She smiled, pulling up her mask.